to go ahead and get started because I want to respect everybody's time. We actually possibly have more people who work for the city of Charlotte than people who are residents who are here to see us all speak, so we may be speaking to each other, but we also will be broadcasting this. And so I'm really hopeful that you guys will feel engagement and want to really participate. So very high level, I am Kimberly Owens. I am a member of Charlotte City Council. I represent District 6. Does anybody in here know if they live in District 6? And raise your hands. We got some District 6 folks. Do you guys know what district you live in? Okay, well, we can probably have somebody help you with that over here. But in any event, I'm really glad to have you guys come. Again, Kimberly Owens, I have 3 sons, which were really the driving force of me trying to put this together for young folks. And you'll see up here a couple of headlines. You'll see, first and foremost, we captioned this, "We're home, now what?" And that's just been the lived experience of my children. They went away to college, they've come back to Charlotte, and their home city is not as welcoming as they really thought that it might be to absorb them into either an economic situation that feels safe and aspirational, or into a living situation where they don't have to, look at thousands of dollars in rent and not really feel like it's really sustainable for them to do. A couple of headlines up here, I think just kind of jumped out to me. So the summer teen job market, that's something that we watch. We've got some resources here that'll talk to that issue. I don't know how many teens are watching or maybe in the audience, but it really is a challenge. And a lot of that great work experience that people expect you to have on your resume, it's really hard to get on your resume if you can't get that job. So another one here, we've got the graduating class throwing resumes into thin air. It's a little cheeky from the New York Times, and it really resonated with me. Because I think that my kids struggled with having that resume and putting it out there, and then with AI now being used to screen resumes, it really can be very isolating to put those resumes out there and then hear absolutely nothing back. So they're not even getting those kind of skills. And then nearly 60% of young adults have moved back home and they're not embarrassed about it. I really would encourage, and I won't ask for a show of hands, but my 3 kids, 2 of them live at home. One of them is going to be 26 this year. He's still living at home. I think that for him has been a little infantilizing. I think it's been difficult to imagine that he really hasn't launched, at least in his mind, but he's not alone. And then finally, this is just a cute one that I found. This describes some of the ways that we look at the work environment and how we start our careers. And so I land right in here, which is this Gen X, trust no one and figure it out yourself. The traditional latchkey kid, didn't see parents anywhere growing up pretty much. They were always working and we just kind of did our thing. Very different from my kids. My kids are down in here in this Gen Z, question everything and protect your mental health. So I just, again, I just put those up there. But the impetus for this was also lodged in my brain when I was at an event, an innovation event, and I had the opportunity, let me look for my phone real quick, because I don't know what I did with it. Oh, there it is. I had an opportunity to hear a poet, and I want to start our evening in some solidarity with some of the issues that he raised. So the poet who I met, who I hired tonight to come speak to us, is a gentleman by the name of Junius J. Ward. He's an Emmy-nominated poet and teaching artist living in Charlotte, North Carolina. He's a National Slam Champion 2018, an individual World Poetry Slam Champion in 2019, author of Sing Me a Lesser Wound, and he serves as Charlotte Inaugural Poet Laureate and is a 2023 Academy of American Poets Laureate Fellow. So I'd like to welcome Jay up here and let him dazzle the room with some of his thoughts.
Thank you so much. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Council Member Owens for inviting me here. I also want to say to the thought of being more city employees here than residents, not so online, I'm sure. I am reminded of the phrase preaching to the choir, and I'm reminded to the answer to that, which is the choir needs it too. I think that we'll find that some of us are here as presenters, maybe some of us are here to receive, but I think we can all receive with what's going on, because these are important issues for our city, for our youth. With that in mind, the poem I'm going to read is a poem that is an intersection of what was really important to me as a youth, combined with what is really important to me now. And I think maybe the intertwine of those things also speaks to some of the things we'll talk about tonight. I, too, sing America, a weary blues ballad of belonging, a punctuated staccato lyric of legacy. What does it mean to sing America the blues? The repetition of pain, the darker brother. Sometimes the hardest things to say are the easiest to sing. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. The test of a country is whose interests are swept under the rug when it cleans house. The test of a country is whether it's a good listener, whether it can change, whether it can get out of its own way to make change happen. The test of a country is how well it can sing the blues. Tomorrow, I'll eat at the table when company comes. Nobody will dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. When I was a kid, I thought poetry had to be funny or rhyme. But in the 6th grade, I was introduced to a poem by Langston Hughes called I Too Am America. And I first thought, a poem can do this too? It was the first time I knew what possibility could be. Then and there, I knew I wanted to be a poet. America, with possibility before you. Who do you want to be? Who will you be? How will you belt out these notes? How will you speak for all and not just for yourselves? We are all America too. Black and brown are America too. LGBTQ are America too. Women are America too. Non-Christians, America too. The incarcerated, America too. The unhoused are America too. Immigrants are America too. Native and indigenous people were always America before colonizers decided what America would be. We are all America too. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. To be American is to work for something better. To work for something better requires being ashamed sometimes. How else can we make it right? To be American means to be transparent, sometimes be ashamed. We have to be mirrors instead of windows. How else can we see each other? To be American means to be transparent and sometimes ashamed, but also to be beautiful, to be beautiful, to be beautiful, and to sing a new lyric of legacy, of blues, of hope, of change, of my voice, of yours, of all of our voices together to remind us always, I too am America. Thank you.
So I think you caught from that little snippet what I took from that experience at that innovation conference that I was at. The line, and I quickly grabbed my phone as he recited it, the line that really stuck with me and made me know that I wanted him here tonight was, whose interests get swept under the rug when America cleans house? And I loved that, and it sat with me for a while. And again, I really appreciate his willingness to come here and share those words with us. So I am going to go through a very quick, who here attended my first town hall? Did anybody attend my first town hall? Oops, what am I doing here? Okay, so I've changed up a couple of the pictures, but I do this a very quick who, what, when, where. This is who I am. So this is me graduating from law school, graduated from Carolina in 1994, moved here to Charlotte that year for a clerkship with this gentleman right here. He was a chief bankruptcy judge in Charlotte. Why do I mention that? I mention that because when I moved here in 1994, I'd never been to Charlotte in my life. I got an apartment out Independence Boulevard, and everybody who was already from Charlotte was like, why would you want to live all the way out there? And I was like, well, because I've got a really cute apartment, because I'd never had my own apartment before, and I was so excited. I paid $600, and I had a 2-bedroom apartment, okay? I say that to my kids, and their jaws drop. But I made $57,000. I had a 2-bedroom apartment, I had a car payment, and I had about $175,000 in student loans from undergraduate at Northwestern and from law school. And yet, that felt doable. okay? Fast forward today, my kid is almost 26 years old, he makes $60,000. That math doesn't math anymore, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to run for office. So let's go through a couple other things. My kid's right here. What else is on here? This is my child. He works up in Raleigh. He lives with a couple of roommates in Raleigh. Absolutely loves his life in Raleigh because he doesn't use his car. I mentioned that. A couple of folks up here that I serve with, this Ideas Festival is where I met Jay. You'll see Councilmember Maswara Arias with me. You'll see my husband up here. We were going to a particularly festive event, and so we were in our red, white, and blue. Let me go to the next one. So that's the broad strokes of who I am. The why I am. So you'll see some of my favorite people on this slide. My kids and my husband. You'll see my nephew and his boyfriend. You'll see my campaign manager and someone who worked on my campaign. Everybody who worked on my campaign, with the exception of one person, was under 30. So I had a lot of 22-year-olds, had a lot of high school people, had a lot of people who really motivated me by what they wanted out of Charlotte. And that continues to sustain me. This is my husband very awkwardly holding our newest great niece. Her future sustains me. It makes me go forward, makes me want to do a little bit better. The how. So you'll see a lot of collaborative photos here. You'll see the entirety of our city council all decked out in our sweatpants or whatever actually, you know what, I misspeak. That isn't the entirely. Councilmember Johnson was out on that day, so she is not included in that photo. But you'll see over here we had interaction with the monks when they came through, so there's occasionally some fun things that happened like that. You'll see up in Raleigh, went up, and I'm going actually tomorrow to advocate for HIV and AIDS up in Raleigh, but right there I'm meeting with Senator Woodson Bradley. You'll see one of these familiar faces right here. This is your current County Commissioner, Laura Meyer, who is being replaced by Charles DeLoach, who I will be speaking and introducing later. And then you'll see Cynthia Stone. I include that picture because I think it's really important that we understand the intersection of all those various people who bring Charlotte together, and you should know who they all are. And then there's just a couple of opportunities here where I got together with some of our bicycle folks just to appreciate how difficult it is to navigate Charlotte. Somebody told me it was, and I was like, well, how about you show me? Okay, where I am, District 6. I asked you guys if you were District 6. These are the districts. If you can get kind of a good feel for those. This line right here, where I divide from 7 is 51. Where I divide from 3 is South Boulevard. This is in the sort of Myers Park area. And this around here is Monroe Rama Road, where I divide from 5. So you can see all of those. Another reason I put this one up here is because you may not know this, but in addition to a district rep, you have 4 at-large reps. Your at-large reps are featured on here. You'll see Victoria Watlington, Luana Mayfield, Dimple Ashmira, and our Mayor Pro Tem, James Mitchell. If I am not responsive to you, hit one of them up, okay? It'll make me feel bad, but it's what you gotta do. So anyway, this is how you get a hold of me. I'm gonna leave that up here. I'm gonna make the next introduction, and really this is gonna be very interactive. So we're gonna start right now with Cynthia Stone. Cynthia is on your school board, District 5. The districts do not align, so while I am District 6, I have a lot of commonality with her District 5 and with County Commissioner DeLoach, or County Commissioner-elect DeLoach. So anyway, this is Cynthia with Education to Enlistment, Entrepreneurship, and Employment. She'll give us about 10 minutes of school board, and you can ask questions.
Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for including me, Councilwoman Owens. Don't hang out with you as much as I did this, last year, but times are changing, so see you around. D6 overlaps almost entirely with District 5 school board. I go down to Matthews, so I pick up one of our out-of-town communities. But and of course, county commissioner also overlaps as well. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a Charlotte native. A CMS parent, a student, and guess what I found out today? I am a great, I don't know how many greats, granddaughter of John Ford, a signer of Declaration of Independence. So I guess that really does classify me as a native. I got another side of that my family too that has a kind of name around here. Anyway, I started first grade at Pinewood Elementary, the year the city and the county consolidated into consolidated the school system. Growing up, we moved to Atlanta, came back to Charlotte, then went from being a proud West Charlotte Marching Lane to a Irma Yellow Jacket. That was pretty devastating, so I came back to Charlotte. I finished UNCG with a BA in elementary education, and here's a bit of irony. In those days, teaching jobs were really scarce in Charlotte. I didn't even apply. I taught in Siler City. Yes, it is a real town. It is not just where Andy took Helen to the movies. And you got to be of a certain age to know who those people are. Ask me later. I left teaching and moved out of state and enjoyed a really diversified business career. And guess what? It did involve some tech. But ironically, after coming back to Charlotte, continuing my career, then I left my business career and ended up finally teaching in CMS. I was a Montessori teacher, lower elementary at Chantilly, and then at Park Road Montessori, getting a master's in elementary education with a minor in, or a focus on Montessori. And the best 20 years of my working life was in that classroom. Okay. And now here I am, a CMS board member. Go figure. As we consider the state of CMS, we have so much to celebrate. So many good things are happening in our 180 plus schools for 139,000 plus students. But we also can't talk about our successes without recognizing that we still have mountains to climb to ensure all our students are able to create their own limitless futures. Now, just a couple highlights to share. Last fall, we celebrated the most successful academic growth report in CMS history. Almost 89% of our schools met or exceeded their academic growth expectations, putting CMS 10th out of 115 districts in our state. 31 of our schools were removed from the state's low-performing list in a single year, the largest drop in our history. That's a big one. Since 2021, we've seen a 9 percentage point increase in English language arts proficiency, that's the state test, and a 15-point increase in middle school math proficiencies. This is huge. Growth is the key to achievement. So I don't want to downplay the significance of the growth numbers, but for me, the proficiency gains demonstrate that our students are building academic skills needed to face their futures. And I can tell you some stories. I got to do some high school graduations last week. It's amazing. CMS has gained national recognition as recently we were selected for a national case study by Columbia University Center for Public Research and Leadership. Other districts across the country look to CMS as an example to follow. These successes just don't happen. CMS is laser focused on supporting our students. There is intentionality in every decision made to ensure our students get the instruction they need, and it begins the moment they walk into school, the very first day of their school career, to when they leave as young adults, either enrolled, employed, or enlisted. A shout out to the CMS class of 2026, their teachers, their school leadership teams, and the volunteers and our community partners that help us achieve that success. You are walking, talking proof that our intentionality is paying off. But we can't rest on our laurels. Upward trajectories are rarely, if ever, a straight line. As we look to the future, we face complex and rapidly evolving challenges. And honestly, as old as I am, I can say this: no other generation has had to experience what is happening now. We are in the middle of something bigger than all of us. There's growing concern, though, around technology and its use in our classrooms. We are loud and clear that families and educators
are concerned about the ever-present tech that permeates our society and has made it into the classrooms of our youngest students. As a Montessorian, I share that concern. There is a lot we don't know about what tech does to brain development, physical development, and we can already know what it's impacting them on their social emotional levels. What I can say as a former Montessori teacher, a reliance on tech shortchanges some of the most critical elements of education, gives them quick answers instead of thoughtful research and consideration, two-dimensional learning instead of classroom experiences that teach more than a solution to a problem, and robs teachers of actual instructional time with their students. And of course, just last week, we all experienced what happens when tech fails. The unintended consequences of anxiety, inequitable testing procedures, and frustrations experienced by kids, teachers, school staff, everybody else, and board members who got hammered with lots of emails, which I do appreciate, but it's still taking me time to get back to answer all of you. We can't ignore these. We can't ignore this. I want to make sure that you all know that I am involved, engaged, and committed to the work of ensuring our students have the right tech at the right age to support deep understanding and prepare them for the future. I am not a Luddite. Note that. But it is critical that adults control the tech our children have access to and use, because we also owe it to our children to teach them the positive ways tech can impact their lives and how to effectively and wisely use it for positive outcomes. We also face the challenges of our operational infrastructure. Mecklenburg County, through our county commissioners, has generously funded our schools with beautiful buildings and is doing the best they can to support CMS when the state fails to do so. Now, y'all know what to do about that one. You got to go vote, okay? As such, CMS has a responsibility to the citizens of Mecklenburg County to be good stewards of those funds. We are seeking ways to reduce the building and maintenance costs of our schools, following the lead the county has laid, as demonstrated by its building of the Efficiency Center, or the LB Scarborough Center. Aside from the savings that can be incurred through building energy-efficient net zero schools, we set an example to our students of their responsibility to be good stewards of our planet. We cannot, however, ignore the deep-seated realities of the socioeconomic challenges in Mecklenburg County that directly impact our children and their futures. Over half our schools are Title I. Thousands of our children, yes, our children, experience the heavy burden of poverty and trauma before they ever show up in a school building. We cannot rest until every student, regardless of their zip code, has the systemic support they need to be enrolled, enlisted, or employed when they leave high school and to fulfill their destinies. CMS isn't a perfect district by any means, but CMS is the story of resilience and never shying away from doing what is best for all of the students and families in our community. We also recognize the importance of being a good community partner, and I'm certainly looking for ways to pal around with my friend Councilwoman Kimberly and my other friend over here, Mr. Deloach, and also Ms. Laura, who's downstairs voting on the budget as we speak, we hope. We are an integral part of the community. We can be a real good sales ticket for our development people, and we also have to recognize the engagement of partners and volunteers. It's essential. Thank you for your continued support. And please never hesitate to contact me. I have a real easy email address, which I didn't put up there. Should have, but it's CynthiaB.Stone, and that forever long extension of CMS Schools. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So let's have a round of applause for Cynthia. I do appreciate her engagement. You know, we've had a couple of very quick wins. If you live along Tyvola, where Collinswood Elementary is, and there was a school there that was it Smithfield?
Oh, it was Smith, it was the family center, back in the
Yeah.
day.
So anyway, it was just abandoned and folks were living in it, and it was right next to an elementary school, and we were able to bring a number of resources to bear, and we're looking at some good solutions there that are going to involve potential for housing for teachers. So I'm very excited about that. It's those quick wins that were really nice to be able to build on our relationship that we developed during the campaign. So again, thank you very much, Cynthia. So the next person I want to bring up, I've already signaled, Charles DeLoach is incoming into our county commission. So county commission is downstairs. Laura Meyer is currently holding that seat. She chose not to run again, and Charles is going to be taking that place. Charles, I've heard speak several times. I'm really excited to have him here because he's got a real passion for, as you might imagine, with the babe in hand, for childcare and what the realities of that really are for people who live in our area. So without further ado, I will hand over the mic to Charles DeLoach.
Thank you so much. Hey, y'all. First of all, thank you for your patience with me. The first conversation my wife and I had when I decided to run for office was about a promise that I made that she wouldn't have to parent alone. And she's been incredibly supportive in watching our daughter Ren when I go to things like this, but on Tuesdays, she has choir practice. And so if I have something, Ren comes with me. So appreciate y'all's patience with all that. I wanted to share just kind of a generic hypothetical that I think demonstrates really well the situation that young people face in a community like Charlotte and just really around the country. If you're in a neighborhood and you have 3 identical homes, one owned and occupied by baby boomers, one owned and occupied by Gen Xers, and one owned and occupied by millennials or Gen Z. All right, first of all, huge leap that someone in a millennial or a Gen Z would own a home, right? But setting that aside, let's say that the baby boomers bought their, again, exact same home for $100,000 30 years ago. That home is likely fully paid off. Their monthly expenses come down to property taxes, utilities, and groceries and other natural things that everyone's going to face. The Gen Xers, maybe they bought it for $200,000 15 years ago, so they're still paying their mortgage. Maybe that's about $1,000, $1,500 a month. They're also paying for their utilities, but their children are grown and out of the house. The millennials or Gen Zers bought their home a year or two ago for $300,000, again, the exact same home. Their mortgage is nowhere close to paid off. That's probably $2,000 or more than that a month. Yeah, hi. And they also have to pay for childcare. So not only are they paying $2,000 just for the home, they're probably paying somewhere in the realm of $1,000 to $1,500 for childcare. It just doesn't work. You know, as much as I love baby girl here, she's very expensive. And so what I wanted to talk about tonight is the reality of childcare in Mecklenburg County. And it's something that I've made central to my campaign. It's really one of the main reasons that I decided to run. So the state currently spends about $58 million a year on subsidies for childcare. There are other spends that are related to childcare, but those are direct subsidies, meaning low-income families, I believe it's 200% of the federal poverty level, can apply for and be granted subsidies that cover 90% of the expense for their children to go to daycare, right? Once that is granted, which is a whole long thing, you then have to find a facility that accepts the grant. It's not just a given that when you get the grant that someone's going to take it. And then from there, again, you're responsible for the 10%. Mecklenburg County provides a subsidy of $10.4 million to help reduce the wait list in our county for that child care subsidy. And right now, there's a wait list of about 2,000, despite that additional $10 million that we spent. But most importantly, I mean, I don't know if anyone in here, does anyone in here have like kids that have had to send them to daycare? Anyone? Yeah. How long on average have you seen the wait list be? Like 6 months, a year? I had one that was 2 years long. Right? So, yeah. So once you find the funds, oftentimes the wait list is a year to 2 years long. And you just have to figure out what to do. And then again, if you don't have that subsidy, because you have to be at 200% of poverty level or lower, then you have to decide whether or not you're just going to quit your job. Or more likely, if you're a lot of the friends that I'm speaking with, people are just not having kids or just deciding to wait. That is not okay. The only thing stopping people from having kids should be whether or not they want them. But that's just not the reality that we're facing right now. There's only so much that we can do at the local level. We need state and federal resources. But one simple proposal that I have is shifting the subsidy to go to the supply side. Right now, we have too much demand and too little daycare centers. And so the idea that I am proposing is that we shift the $10.4 million that we're already spending, so we don't have to raise taxes, to instead give that money directly to existing programs so they can hire more teachers, rent out more space, and increase supply. Do you want down? No. We're going to see how long that lasts. Not very long. Okay. Oh, you like to see the shadows? Okay, there you go. So that is something that I'm working on right now. Again, I haven't taken my seat yet. I'm working with the existing commissioners because when you want to propose something like this, you usually get something called an analysis where you have county staff do a little research, see what the impact would be, and then if the numbers work out, then you can have a vote and then you make the change. And so I'm trying to get that analysis rolling now so that we could theoretically get those results right around the time that realistically halfway through the first year of my first term, and then hopefully make that change. So anyways, that's a lot. The point is, childcare is expensive. I'd like to work on making it better, and if y'all have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Thank you. Ren, thank you for letting us have Dad. So, you can probably surmise why I thought Charles would be such a good introduction to make to y'all tonight. That reality of childcare was mine. You saw the 3 boys. So for a brief window of time, I had 3 children under 2, which was intense. And it somehow worked because I had an employer who subsidized my childcare. Okay, not everybody has that. I appreciate the great privilege that was. I also had a husband who was fully employed, so we had 2 incomes coming into that house. I had paid off a good amount of my student loans by that point. All those were things that I put into my calculator at that time that made that doable. That is not the existence for my children right now. My kids have already said, one of my kids immediately after the Dobbs decision, the decision overturning Roe v. Wade, he texted me, he said, "Mom, do you think I should have a vasectomy?" I said, well, that's a decision you can make. I was a little uncomfortable, caught me off guard. But, he was looking very purposefully at an economic reality where he probably was not going to afford to have children, and a physical and legislative reality where if he did impregnate someone, they were not going to have the same sort of choices that over their health care. So I love that for my kids, but I didn't really think I was going to have that conversation when my kid was 22, already saying, I know I don't want children. And so, rolling with that one. But anyway, we're going to do an interactive activity. I think we're going to pull this up right now. So it looks like we had some presentations. So here's the Kahoot. Can you guys scan this? And we're going to do this together. Just a little fun exercise because I want to get to know who's in the room. Make sure I'm not standing in the way. Give you guys a minute or two to get into it. And we will have, actually, Shemaya, did she leave? We had another member of our, oh, she's taking a phone call. Okay, we have another school board member in here, so you actually have a 2-for-1 tonight. I did not necessarily target her with this mission tonight because she's not my district, and I was trying to work with people who had some overlap in case these were all District 6 people coming. But Shemaya is also new to school board and would be a great resource for you. Okay. So you guys ready to start? Okay, we got it going. All right. Okay. Okay, so we got a poll going. What would most help you afford to live in Charlotte? Let's see what our options are. Okay. We've got more first-time homebuyer assistance programs. A lot of people don't even know that we've got those. So the fact that I'm indicating that we could have more may be news to you, but you can ask about those. Lower property taxes or closing costs. We also have ways that we can assist with closing costs. We also have some strategies at the county for dealing with property taxes if you make a certain amount and are a certain age. Building more affordable rental housing, higher wages that keep pace with living costs. Of the ones that are up here, the one that I have absolutely zero control over is this one right here, okay? But let's see what you guys think. What do we got? Does that surprise anybody? Higher wages that keep pace with living costs. I spoke earlier about the potential for us to have some housing opportunities for teachers. For some teachers, that hits a little raw. That hits like you're going to have like some sort of like, teacher housing, sort of like the old Potter towns. If you've ever watched old movies and they'll show like a company town and everybody lives, I think what people would really like is optionality. And that's what this is telling me, that you want to be able to use your wages in the ways that make sense for you. Let's go to the next one. Okay. What is the biggest barrier to buying a home right now? Okay, so I appreciate that I'm starting out with a presumption that anybody wants a home. I know a lot of people who are choosing rental by choice. They like the flexibility. They like to be nimble, okay? So just kind of put yourself in a mindset where if you were wanting to buy a home right now, let's see what the options are. Down payment requirements. We also have, again, down payment assistance. High home prices, limited housing supply in desired areas, student debt and other financial obligations. You'll remember that I bought my first home at 26 years old and I had a lot of debt, but I was still able to get into that home. What's it look like for you guys? Okay. High home prices. Okay, and then we got a good split on limited housing supply in desired areas. I'm going to park on limited housing supply in desired areas just for a second. District 6 is notoriously unaffordable, okay? It is one of the bougier of the districts, and it's the one that I represent. It's traditionally thought of as being Myers Park and South Park, but it's much broader than that. You saw we go all the way over to South Boulevard. We go to areas of Rama Road. One of the things that impressed me this week at council was that we had a presentation on something called opportunity zones, which are federal zones that are targeted for investment. And there are 7 opportunity zones in District 6. How many times have we ever elevated those up? Never. Okay? Because traditionally you've got somebody in this seat, and I'm just going to maybe do a little self-pat. Traditionally, you've had somebody in this seat who really only views District 6 as being Myers Park and South Park. And if they're doing well, everybody's doing well, and that's not the case. So again, I'd like to increase our housing supply in these desirable neighborhoods because there's a lot of great schools, there's a lot of great amenities, there's a lot of great stuff going on in 6, but we don't have housing that people can afford. Let's go to the next one. Preferred housing types. Okay, I spoke earlier about home ownership. Do you want starter homes and townhomes, mixed-use developments with luxury rentals, live, work, and play, affordable apartments near job centers, or do you want to expand all options equally? So what would you like City Council to focus on? We just approved a rezoning on Providence Road for the Manor Theater. Does anybody know the Manor Theater? Yes. Okay. Well, this is going to be not what I was just suggesting around affordable housing in District 6. It's going to be particularly opulent townhomes and apartments. It suits the area, and it also has a good amount of that mixed-use feel. It's going to have a lot of retail, about the same square footage of retail on a bottom floor. It's going to have a community space. It's going to try to address a number of those pedestrian needs along that corridor. But let's see what you guys think. You'd like starter homes and townhomes, but really you want all options equally expanded. So as we look at our housing trust fund, we did a vote last night on the budget, and we came up with, unfortunately, I tried to get $200 million in our housing trust fund, and I was not successful. So we are at $125 million in our housing trust fund. We decide over the course of the next months and year how we're going to spend those monies. There has been a preponderance of money that is spent on multifamily. And then a lot of folks of good conscience got on city council and they're like, hey, wait a second. We really are not creating paths to generational wealth. We need to focus more on single family homes. And so we pivoted a lot of that money towards single family homes. We also put a degree of that buy-in towards innovation. We want to look at things like our ADU plan. I don't know if you guys knew about that, but we had some energy that went into having these ADU structures that we could have in backyards. I'm going to be building one myself for my mother. You guys may have seen folks who have them, but they're an alternate source of housing, but also income generation. Let's go to the next one. Which transportation improvement would impact your daily life the most? Okay, let's come up with the questions. Expanded light rail or public transit, more reliable and frequent bus service, walkable neighborhoods, safer bike lanes and walking paths, reduce commute times by improving the roads. Okay, why do I do this one? Well, City Council has a lot to do with our roads. Okay, you might have seen a lot on I-77. You might have seen a lot of energy along Victoria Watlington is trying to put forward a new assessment by UNC Charlotte to try to help us make smarter decisions on our roads. But this is the kind of information that we balance. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of expanded light rail or public transit. So we just did the PAVE Act. A number of you would have voted for that. Some of you may have voted against it. But those PAVE Act dollars, about $19 billion over the next few decades, is supposed to come into this area and help us resolve some of those issues. Unfortunately, with Raleigh, we have to put a certain percentage of those monies to roads, and the other percentages are split between rail and bus. I would have preferred a different calculus, but that wasn't my choice to make, so we're going to live within the parameters we got. But we really want to hear from you on how those things happen in our community. Let's go to the next one. What would make you more likely to stay in Charlotte long term? Affordable housing options, stronger sense of community and connection, better paying jobs or career advancement, improved transportation and mobility. So I threw out that my kid loves Raleigh. He loves Raleigh because he can walk to and from his job. He goes and he gets his coffee, he gets his breakfast, he goes to the gym, he goes and walks to the office, walks home at night. He does all those things without a car. The only time he uses his car is on weekends when he drives to Charlotte every once in a while to see his mother. And that's every once in a while. Okay, so better paying jobs or career advancement. Okay, we do a lot in Charlotte in our economic development to try to bring good companies here that have good wages. Where and how you engage with that is really on you, but it's also on us to let you know that those opportunities are available. Okay, improved transportation and mobility. Again, a lot of people have a very different relationship with cars than I think my generation did, and a lot of folks don't even want to have cars. Stronger sense of community and connection. I love that. One of the things that I do every Friday morning is I do 2 hours in community with folks. I do these coffees with Kimberly all over District 6, and the best part about them is sometimes when I leave, people are still sitting there talking. And I love that because they're meeting other people who have other concerns to theirs, and it helps contextualize the things that we deal with every day. And sometimes you can find some solutions from talking to somebody else. Is that all of ours?
Nope, we have a couple more.
Couple more. Okay, let's see what we got. You can tell I didn't read this before. Which would most improve your economic opportunity in Charlotte? Higher minimum wages, more entry-level professional jobs, workforce training and skill building program, better connection between employers and young workers, or none of the above, unsure. What do you guys think? My first job, again, was as a clerk for a judge. It was a defined time period of a job. It was 1 year. That was how long the clerkship went. I moved here, had that job. and really got a great opportunity to watch lawyers in their natural environment. I was in court and I was able to see, it was kind of almost an internship. I saw what law firms I wanted to go to, and I applied and I got a job, you know. It felt very approachable for me in ways that, again, I now realize were really very, very network heavy. I realize now that my judge was a Tar Heel, and so he was interested in having a Tar Heel. I understand now that my judge really liked to have women, and I will just leave that there. But like, there were all sorts of elements of that put me in line for that job. And I think those networks are things that we don't necessarily always have anymore. So let's see what you guys think. Oh, it's pretty evenly split. I mean, all those things factor in. Workforce training and skill building programs. You can get some of that from your city and from your county and from your CMS. Entry-level professional jobs. You know, again, it's going to be those economic development jobs that come, and it's going to be incumbent on you to look them up, but also on me to let you know that they're out there when we get some of these companies that come in. Let's do the next one. What would make you more likely to stay in Charlotte long term? I think we already did this one.
Can we skip it?
Yeah, so let's skip that one. Although I did like the graphic. Graphic was cool. Neighborhood development priorities. Let's see what we got here. Okay, I don't see my question. Okay, so neighborhood development priorities. What do you think we ought to be focused on as we develop your neighborhoods? We've got focus on affordability, prioritize economic development and jobs, invest equally in all areas to reduce inequality, balance growth with preserving community character. Okay. This is one of the most interesting things that I face as a city council member. I don't know if you ever watch our zoning meetings. They can be a snooze fest, but they're also pretty interesting if you really unpack them, because we're all trying to decide what to do with all the people who want to live here and all the people who already live here. We passed what's called a Unified Development Ordinance a few years ago. There was a lot of opposition to that because that really opened up the possibility for more multifamily infill. What do I mean by that? Some of these neighborhoods that have historically only had single-family housing are now hosting a variety of duplexes up to triplexes, quadplexes. There are some multifamily opportunities that are on the edges of neighborhoods now. When I say multifamily, I'm of course talking about largely apartments. So it's a balance. You know, you want to put them in places where people want them to be, but that often is where people already are. If a place is desirable, there's probably people already there. So we're really looking to invest in all areas to reduce inequality. That's why I was speaking of District 6 and trying to get some more housing opportunities in District 6. We have anything else?
One more.
One more. Okay, last one, guys. Bringing it home. Where should the city prioritize resources for younger residents? So if you are not a young resident, think back to when you were a young resident. What would help you? What did help you feel welcomed in Charlotte? What do you think would help folks? Housing affordability, public transportation, workforce development and education, or public spaces, safety, and quality of life? We've heard a lot about public safety. You may have seen the budget conversation we had last night. More of our budget goes for public safety than it goes for anything else. It goes for the fire department, it goes for the police department. We are focused on public safety, almost, I would think, to the exclusion of some other things. What are we not thinking about? Okay, so housing affordability. Okay, so public safety rate's pretty high here too, but so does public spaces and quality of life. So I wanna sit with that one, and we'll have an opportunity. There's gonna be a lot of opportunity for you guys to share with me. But I wanna move off of this, and I wanna welcome you to some of the folks who can help address some of these questions that you may have. So my next speaker is going to be Chad Martin, who is with, actually it's a number of people. It's Shaniqua Early and Dr. Raquishella Stewart. I didn't do that right, sorry. Office of Youth Opportunities. So we're going to hear some more about youth programs and internships. So some of those ways that you feel connected are going to be how you maybe meet people and you form those networks. So these folks are going to present. Welcome, you guys.
Awesome. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank y'all for joining us. My name's Akeem McDuffie. I have the pleasure of serving as the Business Engagement and Partnership Development Coordinator for the Office of Youth Opportunities. Before I begin, I would like to thank Councilmember Owens for hosting this event for us. If we could give her a hand for that. Yes. And then also I'd like to thank our director, Dr. Stewart, for allowing me this opportunity, and also my supervisors, Chad and Shaniqua, for giving me this opportunity to speak about Office of Youth Opportunities. And so I am actually a Charlotte native. I had the pleasure of graduating from Philip O'Berry, which is over off of Allegheny. And then I made my way out to East Carolina and came back home to get my my undergrad at East Carolina, and came back to UNC Charlotte to get my master's. And then if you're from Charlotte, it's always this running joke that you've probably been to Central Piedmont. And so I have my human resources certification from Central Piedmont as well. So a little bit about me. And as a youth that grew up in Charlotte and had the opportunity to be invested in our community, I'm super excited about being able to have the opportunity to bring opportunities for our youth to be invested in through the Office of Youth Opportunities. So today, what I would like to share with the group is who we are, what we do, and our outcomes. So the Office of Youth Opportunities is all things investing in youth. The Office of Youth Opportunities is investing in Charlotte's youth and young people by connecting them with leadership experiences and safe spaces to learn and grow. Our mission is to make sure every young person has the support and opportunity they need to succeed today and build a brighter future. And we do this by leaning on our three primary pillars. So our primary pillars are youth career experiences, youth development, and youth safety. So those are our pillars, and all of our programs are based in those pillars. So through career youth experiences, we're looking to partner and get youth in programs that, not programs necessarily, programs and with businesses in our community, whether that be with the YMCA, Atrium Health, to give them opportunities to explore different career paths in our community, and then also to help them to be able to imagine themselves being in various careers within our community. So that is our career experience pillar. And then youth development, we want to take the time to help develop our youth, help them with their soft skills, help them to be able to interview, help them to be able to be successful in the workforce so that they're able to afford housing in our community. And then that includes helping them with interviewing, resumes, interpersonal skills, and et cetera. And then we also look to invest in youth safety. This looks like our peer clubs, diversion, and providing safe spaces for youth to communicate to us what are the things they're looking for and the things that they need. All right. And next up, I'd like to share with you all what we do. So we do this through a number of programs. So our programs consist of our ATV program, Alternatives to Violence, our diversion program, our Envision Academy program, our MyApp program, which a lot of people in the room may know about, but it's our Mayor Youth Employment Program, in which we partner with various businesses and local organizations to provide internship opportunities for high school students and CMS, and then our Safe Charlotte program as well. So those are our key programs that we provide in the community. And then activities, we have structured activities for the youth to be able to participate in. And so some of the ones I'd like to highlight is our, give me a second. Our Brand You program is a program that aims to equip teens with skills and knowledge and confidence to develop their personal brand and present themselves professionally for career readiness and character development. And then also another one I would like to highlight is our peer clubs. We are going into CMS schools to provide opportunities for peer learning and for youth to be able to have a safe space for them to be able to learn different skills and talk to each other about different things. And then also peer mediation, being able to help develop those skills so that we can deter youth violence. And then our Reach Leadership program is an awesome program to help develop leadership skills within our youth, helping them to learn what it will take to be a leader in our community. And then some of the initiatives that we have going on are our Access program, a seat at the table where we partner with She Built This City to help invest in our youth, young ladies in our community, our Backspin program, civic engagement initiatives, our youth violence prevention, community and strategy and social norms campaign. Also, we have opportunities in culinary programming. Green Pathways is a new opportunity that we have in which we're partnering with Mecklenburg County. And then we also have the Office of Youth Opportunity Ambassadors and Youth City Council. So we're getting our youth ready to be the next council members. And then grants that we're able to provide these awesome opportunities under our Carolina Youth Coalition grant, our Katie Blessing Center grant, and our Teach for America grant are ways that we're able to provide these opportunities. And if you have any questions, please feel free to just yell out or raise your hand. Yes, ma'am.
So thank you so much for everything that you are doing to help our youth stay engaged. If there are other organizations who are doing similar work who wants to get plugged in with the city,
Yes.
how do we do that?
I would love to talk to you after this presentation. That is my role. So yes, I want to partner with you so that we can make sure that we can connect so this work is not happening in silos. Yes, sir.
To follow up, you mentioned that you guys go into schools with the brand new program, prayer clubs, prayer support. So are you targeting a particular age group, or is it like K through 12?
Yes, sir. So it's K through 12, and we go all the way up to age 24 is what we consider youth with our programs. Yep. Awesome. Yes, ma'am.
CMS has a lot of CTE programs out there.
Yes.
Are you going into those programs to talk about these issues with these concerns, these initiatives, programs that can happen to them after they get out of CMS, but maybe before they get the jobs?
Yes, we are. We are endeavoring to build those partnerships and to have those conversations. Yes, ma'am.
Great.
All right, so I need to talk with you as well afterwards. Yes. And I'm going to get this young lady in the back, and then I'll get right back to you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Has there been any consideration regarding increasing the age range, like maybe 25 to 30s?
We can take that into consideration. We're actually in a phase of where we're exploring how our programs are serving our community. So thank you for that. We'll take that into consideration. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
I know you mentioned partnerships. Do you partner with any grassroots organizations here in the Charlotte
We would
area?
love to partner with grassroots organizations. That's one of the parts that my role does. So
We're gonna talk
definitely, we will
afterwards.
definitely
We're gonna
connect
talk
afterwards.
afterwards.
Yes, awesome. I'm loving this. Yes, ma'am.
You forgot to acknowledge the fact that I live next door to your mom and your dad.
Yes. Yes, yes. I wasn't sure. Yes, yes. I want to make sure I pronounce it right. So you are CMS, Ms. Shemaye. Yes. We had the pleasure of being neighbors with my mom and dad. So I had the pleasure of having her ear from time to time. Any other questions? Awesome. Okay. And last but not least, we wanted to share our impact in the community. So we've had the pleasure of engaging over 2,000 youth in our community through our outreach partnerships and through our various programs. We've also had the opportunity to provide over 400 plus internships through our MyApp program and various internship opportunities that we provide. And throughout our time, we've invested this year over $5 million through awards, subcontracts, funding to community organizations to be able to provide those opportunities for youth. And also last year, we were able to provide over 200 passes to local YMCAs so that youth can have a safe space so that they won't have to, well, what am I going to do today? The Y has a plethora of opportunities. And this year, we're extending our impact by providing 250 youth passes with a partnership with Mecklenburg County to recreation centers. Yeah, so we're really excited about that. And just rounding it back to that, we are really focused on career experiences, development, and safety for our city's youth. Thank you.
So thank you. I think that's one of the best things that comes out of these is that people make connections. That's what my job is, to make those connections. So I'm really excited to have had the Office of Youth Opportunities here. So our next speaker is going to come to us from the Office of Workforce Development. I believe it's going to be Jordan Duke and Sherry Jones. So let's hear it for them. The title of their portion is Securing Jobs After College and Youth Economic Development Initiatives.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. And thank you, Council Member Owens, for having this amazing town hall. This is very informative. And I want to welcome and thank our City of Charlotte colleagues as well as the community. We are excited to be sharing more with you about the Office of Workforce Development. My name is Sherry Jones, and I am the Program Manager for the Office of Workforce Development.
And I am Jordan Duke, and I am the Data Analyst for the Office of Workforce Development.
We have a small but mighty team, is what our leader, Danielle Frazier, likes to say. But we have Danielle Frazier, who's Special Assistant to the City Manager, myself, Sherry Jones, Jordan Duke, Brandon Grant, Kathy Willis, Kendra Brito, and Melissa Huggins that rounds up our team of the Office of Workforce Development. We support all 23 plus departments within the City of Charlotte and all 9,000 employees with our programs and services. We have an internal leg and an external leg, and I'm here this evening to share more about our internal leg, and Jordan will talk more about our external piece. So we have several things that we do internally, but our internal leg does incorporate the external because of our hiring through our programs. So we have registered apprenticeships. We have 20 registered occupations. Currently, across 7 different departments, we have over 120 active apprentices working. We've been doing apprenticeships since 2017, and we are apprenticeship ambassadors. We've been designated as such by the Department of Labor in 2023. The apprenticeship program is a great way for youth to come into the city to be gainfully employed, especially if they are novice to some of the occupations that we have. It is a way for them to earn and learn at the same time, and it is a guaranteed job as long as they are competent in the skills that are outlined in their program. We have a 79% retention rate for our apprentices. They typically do very well and receive their journey worker credentials at the end of their program. Our registered apprenticeship programs range from 1 year to 4 years. However, again, after they receive their credentials from the Department of Labor and the state, they are hired full-time in that role. It is a great way for anyone over 18, so our age range is 18 and up. We've had age ranges within cohorts that range between 25-year age span. So we're not just 18 to 27, we are 18 and above. We also have our Education to Employment program, which we are really proud of. We are actually at the offering stage now for our 3rd cohort. And this is where we've partnered with CMS schools, and we hire into full-time roles recent graduates from CMS. So right now, we have just finished the recruitment and interview process for the class of 2026. We have several departments to pledge positions to hire these young people into full-time, gainfully employed roles. They will be starting at $23.50 an hour, plus benefits starting day 1, and after 6 months, they go into the regular starting salary, which can be $24 and up for the roles that they have been hired into. And I am so proud of this particular program because the young people that we are receiving from CMS are dynamic. We have a robust recruitment process. We go into all of the CMS schools. We speak to every single CTE teacher as well as CDC teachers and some teachers that just are really concerned about their high school seniors. And this year we did another piece where we also included all of the athletic directors because even if a student plays sports, they may not always go on to college. And so this gives them a chance to have a gainful full-time employment. We are really pleased with that. We also have a partnership with CPCC, so Central Piedmont Community College. So while our students that are coming from CMS may not decide to go to college right after high school, We tell them working for the city of Charlotte is not either or, it's and. Because we have what's called a tuition prepayment program that we prepay for employees to go to Central Piedmont with approved course list classes where they can gain their associate's degree or continuing education or one-off courses just to upskill and reskill themselves to be more attractive for the role that they're in or to pivot internally and have internal mobility within the city. Because we want to have retention, and this has really helped so much with retention with employees utilizing this, and is open to all employees with the city. We also include career coaching. And so the career coaching is for employees that are going back to school. We have many employees that haven't been back in many, many years and aren't really sure how to navigate that process. So we have a career navigator that helps them navigate going back to school or navigating their career with resume revision. And Councilwoman Owens, you had mentioned about the resumes in the picture, and I understand that for sure. You will be surprised, some people that are gainfully employed don't have resumes too. We always tell them, be resume ready, update your resume every 6 months so that you can capture all the great things that you've done. Also, interview preparation and just ongoing support for them with their career pathing. We have, let me see, did I miss anything, Jordan? I'm just talking off the cuff, I'm sorry. You know what, I'm gonna pause right here so that I can give my colleague and my team member and partner, Jordan, an opportunity to share more about our external piece.
Yes, so as Sherry said, we also have an external piece, and it is more focused on the community partnerships, so connecting with different training providers and offering grant opportunities to get the community trained up. One of the opportunities I want to talk about is Road to Hire, and they are focused on investing in the untapped potential of the next generation of leaders, breaking down barriers in career success. And they do that on 3 different levels. They have the high school level, the college level, and the early career portion. So Road to Hire at the high school level is in 8 Title I schools across Charlotte, and it provides a course that assists participants navigating the college application process and making informed career decisions. The partnership doesn't end there. As they go to the college level, they support the students in one-on-one mentorship, career coaching, and tuition coverage throughout the full college experience. And lastly, they support students that college may not be their chosen path, so they support non-college students in a technical training mentorship and professional development program that falls underneath a tech apprenticeship. Upon completing that program, the participants transition into high-paying careers, and over the past few years, the city of Charlotte has supported over 200 of those young adults participating in that tech apprenticeship. Yeah, that's what I have on Road to Hire. It's a great opportunity, and this is just one of the partners that we partner with. We have roughly it's going to be about 9 that we're funding over the past couple of years.
We would like to open the floor up for questions. Yes.
Hi, Ms. Sherry. Working with you in the past, it has been, obviously workforce development is needed, right? We need it for upward mobility. However, you all mentioned CMS schools, you mentioned CPCC, right? What about our 4-year institutions? Or you said also, if you're 18 plus, you can become a part of these apprenticeships. How are people finding out about these opportunities? How do they get plugged in? How do we make sure that we're not missing our scholars who are also clueless about what they want to do and they are at 4-year universities?
Yes, thank you for that question. I appreciate that. So we have an MOU with Central Piedmont Community College. Because they are the largest in the state, they have 54,000 employees. They have a program that affords a person who's working full-time to be able to go seamlessly to school. For our internal partners, our internal employees, we felt that would be the best fit for now. However, because Central Piedmont also has arms and connections with 4-year degree programs, when our employees receive their associate's degrees, they can select some of those schools. It could be UNC Charlotte, Asheville, all different types of 4-year degree programs to continue and get their four-year degree utilizing the tuition reimbursement program. When in a space of registered apprenticeships, which is something that we stand strong on, we go around the country and support other local municipalities with starting that type of program. We are looking at four-year institutions to incorporate registered apprenticeships in their educational programs, because a lot of students are graduating with not a job in place. And if they can tap into a registered apprenticeship program while in school, that organization, that business, that department can help support the payment of their education, giving them that awareness of the industry that's aligned with the course of study that they are in, and upon graduating, roll them into a registered apprenticeship, which will continuously lead to their career pathing. The challenge with young people today is the lack of social capital. And if we look at the Chetty report, where Charlotte ranked 50 out of 50, and we've improved to 38th now, which is amazing. We're the third fastest, increasing city in the country. They said that it's not necessarily the things that they had looked at before, which was education, economic mobility, intergenerational mobility, education, transportation. It's the lack of social capital. That means they don't always have those connections. And through our programs, they get connected because we have employees, we have professionals come in and speak to them, connecting them, being their mentors. And finding a mentor for young people is so, so important. And yes, there are so many young people that don't know about these programs. When we have opportunities that are posted, and a lot of people aren't going to the city site checking for an apprenticeship, checking for education to employment, we reach out to our external partners, our nonprofit organizations, our schools, our different facilities that support and train up and just are that think tank partner with our youth, with our community as a whole. We invite them into what I call a roundtable discussion. I'll have the SMEs, typically whatever department is hiring for that apprentice or whatever, we'll have them go to that department, hear from the SMEs about what that work entails, so that those external partners can then go to their clients, to their students, and share that opportunity, prepare them, help them with their resumes, so that they can be attractive to that opportunity. So when it is posted, we send the link out to them, and 90% of our programs come from referrals because of that. Yeah. So we totally understand that challenge.
Okay, well, thank you. They're going to stick around a bit for additional questions, but I want to have a round of applause for our Office of Workforce Development. Okay, so we've had our young job, and then we've got our bigger kid job, and so now maybe we're going to buy a home. So let's hear from Housing and Neighborhood Services. This section is going to be presented by Ronald Mason, who's going to speak to us on home buying preparedness, and most importantly on resources. I referenced some of those resources. So Ronald, where is Ronald? There we are. You want this mic or you want the one up there? What do you want to do?
I think I'll use this one.
You're going to tuck back there. Okay.
Good evening.
Evening.
Right. My name is Ronald Mason. I'm with Housing Services. I am here to talk about the homeownership readiness and resources that's available. My everyday job, I am the program manager of the down payment assistance program called House Charlotte. Has anyone ever heard of House Charlotte before? Oh, that's great. Here's a trivia fact. What year did House Charlotte start? What year did City Council vote on the down payment assistance called House Charlotte?
2012.
Ooh. Who knew? 1996. 1996, City Council wanted to strengthen and stabilize neighborhoods, so they came up with the down payment assistance program called House Charlotte. So I will be talking about that program. All right, so as we're going through the home readiness process, we just like to go over some of the pros that come with owning your own home. So real estate is usually a good investment. Typically it is. Typically it is. It's always when you buy and when you sell. There's tax benefits that come with owning your own home. Your mortgage interest is tax deductible. Please talk to your accountant. Stable housing costs, depending on what type of mortgage that you obtain when you're going through your home buying process or your mortgage buying process, like we like to call it.
You could have a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, you could have a 15-year fixed rate mortgage. Typically, it can give you some stable housing costs. And this is your own home, you can do what you want with it. Cons, decreased mobility. You just can't pick up and leave the property behind and not take care of it. Cost of ownership, taxes, maintenance, HOA fees. HOA fees. When I like to I do these homeownership sessions, I always like to tell individuals before, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, if you can, through your realtor, get a look at what your HOA regulations and guidelines are to make sure you're comfortable with that prior to you buying. That's a great way of understanding what you're getting into in that community. A lot of times at closing, we're happy, we're buying our own home, we're signing off our life away on all kinds of funds, and there's the HOA regulations, and we really don't read them. So that's just one tidbit. Transactions costs, right? There's all kinds of costs with buying a home, right? Loan origination fees, title insurance fees, closing attorney fees.
Inspection fees.
There you go. Real estate is usually a good investment. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes, sir. Okay. How to be prepared, if you can be. Manage your credit, right? If you're able to pull your credit score on your own and get an idea what your credit score is, what you're paying each month, what's helping your credit, what's not helping your credit, there's ways and solutions in regards to it. I'm going to talk about some of our partners that we work with that can help you with that process. Build savings. We're talking about a generation now. I've been here in the city of Charlotte for 20 years. I am a transplant from New York. Please don't kill me. But when I first came down here, yes, it was very affordable compared to New York. Now, like Councilmember Owens talked about her son moving back home, my 29-year-old, actually he'll be 29 tomorrow, is back home. So now we're working with him on how to build your savings. What's some avenues in regards to going through that? I would suggest start talking to your children very young about saving money, especially high school. We should have a course in high school in regards to that. There you go. Thank you for telling me that. Keep a budget. Have an understanding of what you spend and what you bring in each month or each week. Take a homeownership education class. Work with a housing counselor, which I'll be talking about. There you go. Thank you. At the end of my presentation. And know the process. All right, first thing that you do, or in order to qualify for a mortgage, let me say this, is your credit score, right? So we all know that your credit score is the number that determines the risk or how you're approved for a mortgage. There are 3 credit bureaus that are typically pulled: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Do everyone know each of those scores? You one gentleman nodded? Okay, that's good. All right, as you know, they collect the data, report it to them about the credit and repayment history to formulate your scores. There are multiple scores. Ask your bank which one they use. Typically, some banks would pull all 3 and take the median number of the 3 to qualify you. So if you have a 800 Equifax, 750 Experian, and a 720 TransUnion, they'll typically use that 750 to qualify. Here's just a quick chart or a pie chart of what your credit score is made up of. As you can see here, 35% is your payment history. Another 30% is amounts owed. 15% is credit length. 10% is types of credit. And another 10% is new credit. All right. So I kind of talked about some of the preparedness you will have to go through in regards to obtaining a mortgage. But let's say you're having some difficulty saving money for the down payment assistance. So I'm going to talk about some of the resources that the city offers, like I spoke about earlier, House Charlotte. But there's also the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency Community Partners Loan Pool that the state of North Carolina offers as well. And then also I'll finish with the housing counseling classes. So House Charlotte provides between $30,000 to $80,000 in down payment. We like to really call it a home buying assistance program because our funds can be used for down payment, of course, points and interest rate buy down, and closing costs. So our funds can be used to bring down your interest rate where you can have an affordable payment. But we like to call them not a grant, but it's a 30-year deferred forgivable loan with 0% interest rate, all right? So what that means is that you do not pay the city anything monthly. You just have to reside in the property as your primary residence for that term. If that happens where it doesn't occur, death of the borrower, default, or change in occupancy, or refinance or cash out, or sell the home, that's when you pay us back the money that we allocated to you. All right. The House Charlotte program is based off total household gross income and family size. The maximum amount of the area median income here in Charlotte is up to 110%. All parties of the loan must attend a minimum of 8 hours of homebuyer education and counseling with a HUD-approved housing counseling agency. And every year, we receive area median income limits from Home Investment Partnership, which is a federal program, a part of what we fund our program with. And each year, we're giving these income limits, and that's what we base your qualification off, based off household size. Okay, so let's talk about North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, Community Partners Loan Pool. Now, CPLP, what they call it, offers a 0% interest deferred second mortgage loan up to 20% of the purchase price. Depending on the first mortgage type, you could receive up to $50,000 in assistance, up to 20% of the purchase price when combined with their mortgage product called North Carolina Home Advantage Loan. And the income limits are the same, similar to House Charlotte, where household incomes are 80% or below area median income can qualify for. Quick question, can you layer this program with the city's program? Yes. So as I spoke about the 80% of House Charlotte, so what that is, what we call a subsidy matching, right? So typically your base for 80% or below is $30,000. Now, let's say you layer with the state's program of $50,000, we will match that $50,000 where that's how your $80,000 come into play. So we're looking at a total of subsidy, about $130,000, please forgive me if my math is off, to bring down your costs when you're purchasing a home, okay? I did not mention the City House Charlotte program is only limited to the city of Charlotte. So if you're buying within the city of Charlotte, you can use these two programs together. All right. Now, they have a mortgage program of their own called the North Carolina Home Advantage. It provides eligible home buyers with competitive interest rates and down payment assistance up to 5% of the loan. For first-time home buyers, military veterans with low incomes may be eligible for the NC First Home Advantage DPA, which provides an additional $15,000. Up to 100% financing on FHA, USDA, and VA loans. 3% down payment assistance on conventional 97% loan to value. And that is the website where you can find more information on the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. It's www.nchfa.com. All right, so some of your next steps, or what your next steps should be, is speak with a homeownership education housing counseling agency. We work with two. One is called Dream Key Partners. This is their website, dreamkeypartners.org. Their telephone number is 704-342-0933. And we also work with Ada Jenkins Center, which their telephone number is 704-896-0471. We recommend you talk with a housing counselor. They will review your credit, and they can also talk to lenders on your behalf. So they can help you with the whole entire home buying process. And here's my information, Ronald Mason, House Charlotte Program Manager. This is my email address. This is also our website where we also house a lot of information of upcoming projects, and that's my direct number.
So thank you. Hear it for Housing and Neighborhood Services. Thank you, Ronald. I appreciate you. Okay, so our last speaker tonight, before we just open it up for a wide variety of questions and input from y'all, is from Charlotte Department of Transit. And we're going to be joined by a couple of folks. It looks like David Harrison and Paola. Paula, my apologies. Welcome. So they are going to speak to us about uptown commutes, safety, e-bikes, and future projects. Now, they are focused on District 6, but I know that we have a lot of good projects, a lot of good energy coming along with the money that's coming in from the PAVE Act. So if you have a particular area, I'm sure they can direct you to where you can see what projects you're going to have. But I will cede the floor.
Great. Thank you, and thanks, everyone. Good evening. My name is David Harrison. I'm with the Charlotte Department of Transportation. Tonight's discussion is focused on a lot of important topics, from housing, jobs, education, and opportunities. Transportation is a key way that connects all those opportunities, getting people to and from their jobs and focusing on connecting to transit, greenways, other opportunities in greenways around District 6 and beyond. I'm also here with my CDOT colleagues, Paola and Corey. They'll be in the back table after this presentation. We'll be happy to talk more about biking, active projects in the area, or our own experiences commuting in Charlotte. To start us off, Paola's going to highlight some of CDOT's recent Bike Month programming. Then I'm going to talk more about e-bikes, biking, and how those options all fit into a broader transportation network in District 6 and beyond.
Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. My name is Paola. As David mentioned, I work at CDOT with him doing community engagement work, and I have the honor of serving as a co-lead for our annual Bike Month programming. So if you're not familiar, Bike Month is a national celebration of bicycling in all its forms, whether it's for transportation, for recreation, exercise, or simply another way for you to explore your neighborhoods and get to know the city. This year, our team really focused on creating opportunities and providing resources to allow residents and visitors to Charlotte to experience biking in a low-pressure environment. And one of our goals as the city is to shift from a transportation system that's primarily dominated by single occupancy vehicles more towards a more balanced mobility system that allows for biking, walking, transit, and alternative modes of transportation to play a larger role in how people move. So one way that we work towards that goal is through our education and community programming. This year, we had quite a few programming opportunities. I've listed a few up here that I will talk about. This year we offered a free bicycle education series that included classes like How to Bike More, which was a presentation on that provided practical tips on how to incorporate biking into your daily life. We had Shopping by Bike, which is a personal favorite of mine, where we invite residents to join us on a grocery run, pay for a little bit of groceries, show them how to load cargo up on their bikes, and we ride home. We also have other opportunities like Bikes on a Train Ride, where our instructor took a group ride down I think they went up to university and then traveled back down on the light rail, took their bikes on the light rail. Otherwise, that might be a bit of a daunting task to do by yourself, but in this case, we had a large group and we were doing it together. We also introduced some new events this year. One of my personal favorites, which is photographed on this slide, is our community bike share rides. We hosted 2 this year in partnership with Lime and Bird. We used their e-bike devices to take residents around the city and experience different types of infrastructure through Uptown, South End, Dilworth, and Midtown. We rode on protected bike lanes, shared use paths, greenways, and also on the road. And so for a lot of people, that was a first-time experience using the Lime and Bird devices. But in addition to that, it was just an opportunity to test out e-bikes, which I think are recently more trending in different across age groups. I invited my dad on the ride, and he loved it. And I also invited my sister on the ride. So there's just a wide variety of interest in biking that we're seeing. In addition to that, we hosted community workshops. We worked with Bank of America. We hosted internal ones for city staff. And we also partnered with Mecklenburg County to put on a history bike ride that was focused on Charlotte's transit history. And so we got to explore the history of different railways, the bus systems, all while riding our bikes throughout the city. And while all of these events are certainly fun, and they should be, we had a bigger purpose behind them. Our goal isn't simply to just encourage people to ride a bike. It's to help people understand their transportation options and build confidence in using those options, and also to create opportunities in Charlotte to experience the city in new ways. Because truly, and I feel like I'm a good testament to this, I wasn't a cyclist before I had this job. This job really introduced me to biking, and now I experience the city with a completely different perspective. There are things you'll miss when you're driving in your car, people you run into, shops you never noticed. So it really just is a great way to get to know where you live, and Charlotte is a city that is full of things to do, full of opportunities, and we just want to get people out there and active. In addition to all of that, biking is very good for you. It's an active way to travel, and it's also really great for the environment. So if we want to achieve our long-term mobility goals as a city, infrastructure is one part of it, but people also need the tools, education, and support to feel comfortable using it. And that's exactly what programs like Bike Month do. And I'll pass it to David to kind of highlight our shared mobility program.
Right, that was great. Thank you, Paula. I think what that really highlighted is Bike Month really focuses on biking from a community perspective. It's about engagement, connection, but also introducing folks to biking as not just recreation and exercise, but transportation and commuting. It's really showing how that broadens the opportunities for people to get around in different ways, which really is in line with our mobility goals and increasing accessibility. They mentioned that e-bikes are really increasing in prevalence. A lot of that's due to technology. I know technology has been talked about tonight. How does that change the way we interact with each other, but also the way we get around? So in terms of a positive perspective, e-bikes are really an affordable, efficient, and sustainable way to travel. Those are all three things that are really important to our policies as a city. We talked earlier about how much Charlotte's growing, how much we're continuing to grow. So all of those things are going to be really important as we consider how we plan for Charlotte's growth. So one really big benefit of e-bikes is they're easier than traditional cycling. So with their electric assist motor, it really supports longer trips, less physical effort, and it really helps with battling Charlotte's summer heat and humidity that we're about to have pretty soon. So when you think about traditional cycling, oftentimes that might be a narrow section of our community that was either comfortable biking with the facilities that we had and just how physically challenging it can be to bike around certain parts of Charlotte. So having an e-bike really makes it a lot easier, really opens the door for a lot more people. Do want to clarify that e-bikes are different than electric motorcycles that are unregistered. I know that can be a hot topic, but that is separate from the city's e-bike policies and the shared mobility program we'll talk about next. A lot of what we talked about tonight is choices and alternatives and options. That's a really big key part of what CDOT does, is providing transportation choices. Just like we talked about different housing choices and availability for jobs, different ways to get around really enables people to have choices and opportunities at different walks of life. So e-biking in particular offers alternative to short car trips. We've talked about how we want to grow, and Councilmember Owens mentioned the Unified Development Ordinance, which really impacts where and how we will grow. There's a concept of 10-minute neighborhoods, which really focus on having more places closer to proximity and having things like walking, biking, transit, close to those destinations really start to link those things together and make a 10-minute neighborhood functional. There's a transit network that's operated by CATS. We are the Department of Transportation. We kind of do everything except CATS. So CATS does our transit system, and NCDOT does the statewide system. So transportation is really a group effort. So how we work as a interdepartment agencies, but also the physical networks. The greenways connect to the transit that Paola mentioned, so being able to have biking networks and e-bike opportunities connect to those really starts to link and broaden someone's walk shed or bike shed. It's also useful for commuting and running errands. Paola mentioned some workshops that happened recently to introduce people how that can be a useful way of life, not just a fun way of getting from A to B, but also functional daily life. We've also talked a lot about affordability tonight and the challenges that housing and transportation can bring to affordability. One thing that's really important about bikes and e-bikes in particular is they're lower cost than car ownership. So that really expands mobility options for a greater swath of the population. And it's really helpful for people who don't have a car. So many people don't drive, but there's also a lot of people that don't want to drive. So combined with the way we grow our neighborhoods and our neighborhood centers, linking together transportation options is really a way to bridge that gap. Next. So I mentioned e-bikes as kind of a really important technological advancement that we're really seeing. It really broadens the approach. That's just kind of e-bikes in general. What this slide talks about is specifically the shared mobility program in Charlotte, which is Lime and Bird e-scooters and e-bikes that have been introduced within the last year or so. So for those of you who don't know what the system is, quite simply, it's an app-based transportation system where you can unlock permitted bike and scooters that are owned and operated by Lime and Bird. It's great for short trips and those first last mile connections, and it really opens up the opportunity to where you can get to and from biking and scooting, so those first last mile connections. So how do people use it? They use it in many different ways. Again, just like I mentioned, biking is not just about recreation and exercising. E-bikes and e-scooters really let people connect to transit, bridging the gaps between our bus stops and our light rail stations. Those short neighborhood trips, maybe the grocery store or meeting a friend at a coffee shop or nearby restaurant. A lot of trips happen within 2 miles or less on average. So not everyone wants to be able to have to hop in a car to go down the road essentially. So having these, a network of e-bikes and e-scooters really opens up that opportunity. There's also flexible commute alternatives. So being able to get to and from work when traffic is at a higher peak density really gives people flexibility. And the network of greenways that we're adding in partnership with the county. The county owns and operates majority of the greenways. We've partnered with Cross Charlotte Trail to bridge some really critical gaps. That's been hugely successful. And District 6 is in a unique geographic position with that greenway system. And our growing network of bikeways. We're continuing to add, particularly on new streets and new transportation projects, facilities that meet our current standards of biking and walking. When you look at a part of Charlotte, when you think, why does it look the way it is, it's really dependent on when did it grow and when was it built. So our policies and our requirements, both for the private development community and projects that we build, have changed in advance. So that's a really critical part as we continue to grow towards approaching 1 million people and beyond. And we need to give people different choices and different ways to get around. So that's a really key part of our mission. Do want to point out one really important part of the shared mobility program in Charlotte is it's permitted. So there are rules and requirements that we worked with City Council starting in 2018 to implement this program, and it's grown over the years, but we've always had operating requirements to ensure safety is key to that, with age limits, speed limits, balancing and parking requirements that our operators are required to adhere to and communicate public education to their users. There's also data sharing as well, so we can gain really practical planning insights to see how people are traveling, where they're traveling, and that really informs some of our ongoing projects that we're already investing in. And there's also a safety consideration where CMPD and our Vision Zero, which is our traffic safety policy program, really continues to emphasize the need that it's a shared responsibility not only for drivers but also bikers and scooter riders as well, to make sure everyone is sharing the road and behaving safely. And finally, this slide focuses on District 6, really showing a growing network of connected transportation choices that we have. So I mentioned that CATS operates the Blue Line light rail, so that's 26 stations. When I moved here, we just had half of that. It was just from uptown to south. But we've since expanded that, and now it goes all the way from South Charlotte to uptown and University City as well. Another project that CATS has developed is the Gold Line streetcar. That's been done in phases, so connecting from the historic West End through Uptown, Center City, and to the Elizabeth neighborhood is a streetcar network that's available just at the north of District 6. CATS also operates 69 local, express, and regional bus routes. So those bus stops kind of fill in the gap and expand the rest of the transit network throughout the city. You'll also see we have a growing network of bike lanes. I mentioned our policies have changed, our standards have changed. We've been really focusing on that for 20 years and more lately, making sure all projects are really thinking about all users and all ages and abilities. So that's really key to how we plan and design our transportation system. Finally, I'll show the greenways, which are essentially linear parks that connect people and places, not just recreation, but also for transportation. When you think about this map from a network perspective, it's not, one trip isn't always just one mode. Some people might bike to the nearby transit stop. You might walk to the greenway and take that because it's a safe, scenic, and direct route to where you're going. The buses also have bike racks on the front, so you can ride your bike to the bus and maybe hop an express route across town. So it's really thinking about a network and how all these pieces work together, and continuing to work with our communities and city council, and that funds our programs that are critical to continue investing in these programs as well. And so e-bikes is just one part of that. E-bikes and shared mobility is one component of this network. And with that, I just want to say I think it all boils down to transportation choices. Mobility really bridges the gap between housing and jobs, which is something we've talked about, and we're happy to take more questions.
Okay, so could I have a round of applause for CDOT? Okay, so I said at the top that this was your time, and so I want to open up the room. Again, I've introduced myself. I've given you my who, what, why, where. You guys know that my passion really is trying to make this city livable for people I love. And my 3 kids, you know, are not here tonight because they were not at all interested in seeing this. And that's unfortunate, but I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad you guys can take this education back to your communities. But I do want to open this up. There are microphones on all of your tables. If you would put that close to you if you have a question. And please feel free to ask a question of anybody in the room who presented.
Okay.
Yes.
If you guys want to speak, please press this as you speak.
Check, check, check.
Check,
check, check. Oh.
How's everybody
Why
doing?
don't you introduce yourself?
How you doing? My name is Sean Kennedy, and
Sean Kennedy.
And we touched on, first of all, some of my favorite people are in this room. It's touching on 2 things that are dear to my heart, which is affordable housing and youth engagement. Today, I want to talk about youth engagement and how to be involved. So, my man, and then there was another sister. She left. So the programming around the youth is great, right? We do a program, and we have over 900 boys in our program, right, at John C. Smith, boys that are from disadvantaged backgrounds. And the stuff that the city does is great, but I guarantee you, out of my 900 boys, 889 of them don't know how to enroll in those programs. And what I've learned is you gotta meet people where they are. Putting it on the city website is cool, but a lot of them don't know to look there. A lot of them don't know to come in this building. So what I ask, and it's more of an ask, if you guys can come meet them where they are, right? Brother Ron sitting next to you, he comes every summer. But to have you guys come to the program and talk about these programs to these kids and these parents, possibly even set up a table, because we'll have 300 boys this summer to talk about this program, because I don't believe a lot of them know that this is even possible and these jobs are possible, because we're big. I'm a big believer in college ain't for everybody, and these programs that you talked about are amazing, and these young men need to take advantage of these programs, but they need to know they exist. So I ask you and charge you, can you come help meet where they are rather than saying, go check it out on the website?
Fantastic. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. Yes. You want to introduce yourself to the room and use the mic? This is one of my favorite people.
Oh, thank you. Jackie Edwards Walton. And I'm all for helping younger persons. I've been there. But we've said very little about the number of senior citizens moving to Charlotte to help out their children with children. So can someone speak to that?
So I will jump in on that one, very high level, and then I welcome anyone from the city who would like to weigh in, but we could also have somebody follow up with you, Jackie. I mentioned earlier that I'm trying to move my mom here. My mom is up in Illinois, a small town I was raised in, about 2,000 people. She actually serves on city council up there, so she is waiting for the end of her term. She has 4 years. I only have 2. We discuss that sometimes. But she has Parkinson's disease, and if I'm lucky, I'll be able to sell her house in this little cruddy town up in Illinois for maybe $100,000. It's the house I grew up in. They've had it forever, and the rising tide has not lifted all boats. So to move her here to Charlotte, particularly to District 6, she's going to have to live in an ADU in my backyard, and I mentioned that program. There are efforts, I think, to help seniors stay in their housing. Seniors getting into housing can avail themselves of some programs, but some of those programs are just open for first-time home buyers. So it's a different reality for people. In District 6, in all candor, I get these flyers in the mail because I'm of a certain age, and I get these flyers, and like the Sharon Towers or whatever, and it'll be like $1 million. Like, I kid you not. Like, the buy-in will be $1 million. I don't know folks who have that in retirement and are able to just funnel that into a payment there. So we really do need some of that missing middle. And what I'm looking at for housing is particularly veterans housing and senior housing in District 6. I really want to fill the bill in terms of making housing that is approachable and affordable. Whenever I talk to developers, I'm always like, please don't just give me these fancy things that have all these amenities. Give me good quality construction that lets people live with dignity, because you don't want to hear the toilet flush and the guy next door. Like, you don't want that. And I know my mom could just take her hearing aids out, but still she doesn't want that. She wants dignity as she ages. And I hope that I'm able to do that. Anybody else from the city want to weigh in on any of that? But we can get back to you, Jackie, with some of those efforts. This one was really focused on young folks, and so I've really got the young folks people here. But I hear you. It's a problem for all of us.
I'm curious.
Who else? Nancy.
For zoning, when you all pass zoning and it has affordable housing, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You should know better than that.
For affordable housing, when zoning decisions are made, there is a wait time, and then it goes back into regular cost housing. Eliminate that. Make it permanent always.
I hear you. So those of us so I'm a real estate attorney by training. And Sean may be able to speak to this, or other developers who may be in the room. A lot of it comes down to being able to make that pencil, okay? Being able to make the math. And so there are some programs that you see that have a 20-year affordability period. We've been really trying to push those to 99 years. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes we are not. I appreciate you. It depends on the property. I will say District 6, it is very, very hard to make an affordable housing deal pencil. And so a lot of times we are either looking at a 80% to 130% AMI as opposed to that 30% AMI. That's very hard to do and make that pencil. But I hear you, and I appreciate that is something that we can continue to look at. Shemaye.
So my question is for the youth employment, workforce development folks. I'm always concerned, number one, about whether or not the city has enough capacity to serve all of the young people who come to apply. So I want to know if there's a wait list and how many slots are available, particularly for those apprenticeships programs. And then also, in terms of road to hire, do they collect social economic data that supports? How do we know that those programs are equitable to young people, particularly when it comes to road to hire?
Who's going to grab that one for me?
It was 2 questions, I'm sorry.
So,
Schmaye with the compound question, I get it.
so to answer the first question about the apprenticeships, so they are typically based on the needs of the department. So each one of those positions are backed by a full-time position. So when we started the apprenticeship program, it was really looking at those positions that have high turnover. And then it slowly branched out as the word got out throughout the city of how good the program is. It slowly branched out to more and more positions, but they're all have to be backed by that actual position at the conclusion of the program. So there are times where they're hiring more. So Charlotte Water, for example, hires a wave of about 15 to 20 every 6 months or so. But it just kind of depends on which position you're looking for.
So what is the wait list, and do you collect socioeconomic status data to say that these kids are really the ones who need it?
Got you. So there technically is no wait list for the apprenticeships. It's just a job that you apply for on the job board. As for the data, we typically, they're full-time employees, so we get all of the data based on where they're from, that sort of thing. We get all their demographic information. Yes, we do.
But not the socioeconomic status?
I don't believe so, not in the hiring process for those positions, no.
And Road to Hire?
So Road to Hire is one of those programs that we fund. So we have taken that demographic information for those programs. We do have that information, yes.
So how many I'm trying to get at, is the city really conscientious about, particularly with our young people? These programs I know, so just so it's kind of a spoiler alert. But I just want to point to the fact that, and piggyback off what Sean was saying, that yes, we have these programs. Yes, they're very limited in scope, but then also are we prioritizing those students and kids who really need them the most? So that's my concern.
Gotcha. Well, I will say the high school program are in Title I schools, so that is definitely one of the initiatives for Road to Hire. And also as the programs go up, we do collect that information. So I assume that goes into the calculus of who they're deciding to bring into their program. I don't personally know the recruitment information that they do for their program. That would be more of a Road to Hire question, but I would assume that goes to the calculus of who they're looking for.
Well, y'all should be looking at that now. That's why I asked the question, because there are many, many kids that I've seen try to get into Road to Hire. And I know the kids that they actually accept, and those kids were going to probably excel regardless in many cases. It's not that I'm saying it's a bad program, but I'm saying that those are the things that, as citizens, we want to know, hey, are the most vulnerable people in our community being served by these? Not to say that it has to be a 100% poverty program, but that.
Okay, thank you. I think I saw your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Can you guys hear me okay? Oh, so I don't need this, do I? All right.
It's being streamed, so if you.
Oh, okay, sorry. So,
Oh, okay.
so I don't necessarily have a comment. This is my first, I'll call forum that I've been to. And I appreciate Councilwoman Owens for hosting it. So I just want to introduce myself because I feel like there's a lot of synergy in the room with what I do. So my name is Aaron Nance. I am the founder and CEO of Invest COT. We provide financial literacy, personal finances, and investment skills for youth between the ages of 12 to 21. And Ms. Stone, you would appreciate this. I just got an MOU with CMS. So I'm super excited. Thank you. I'm super excited about the work that we're doing, and I feel like my man with the Office of Youth, we definitely got to chat. I just want to put it out there that before you guys leave, if you feel like there's some synergy between like what I do and what you do with the City of Charlotte, I would love to connect with you. I know our time is limited. I got business cards. I'm on LinkedIn. So let's find a way to improve the outcome for youth in the City of Charlotte.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Sharika Usher. I am a Charlotte resident, obviously, but also the CEO and founder of Ushering Hope, which is my nonprofit organization. But I'm not here to talk about that. I did want to ask or give a suggestion to this group over here. Oftentimes, groups of folks have, what am I trying to say? They don't have the skill sets, right, to be able to like do simple things such as ride a bike, right? There are many reasons because of that. So I would maybe like to offer if you all can create programs to teach people how to ride a bike, because that it's a common misconception that just because you are of age, you know how to do this. And the reality is that's not true. So I just wanted to put that out there, and excited to connect with folks in the room as well. Thank you.
That's a great point. So, Connie, I don't know if you want to stand up and tell us what you do for the city, but Connie had the great experience, I kid on the great, of loaning me her bike, and I promptly knocked it down. It was an e-bike, and it was much heavier than I was anticipating. So, Connie, why don't you tell us what you do?
So I'm currently serving as chair of the Bicycle Advisory Committee. So we're a citizen group that helps look at and provide feedback to the city on bikeway planning projects. And then we also are looking at policies behind it and kind of trying to provide suggestions on ways that those could improve. But as Kimberly said, I also have an e-bike, and that's how we got here tonight. And so I'm happy if anyone's interested in trying out an e-bike and wants to learn more about it. I have 3 bikes, and so I would happily let you go on any of my 3 bikes. I have a Dutch style bike, I have a traditional like commuter from the 90s, and then I have a e-cargo bike which can hold 3 people. So anyway, that's what I'm doing right now.
Connie is my inspo. We just went on a ride on Sunday. She and a friend who also, is she also on the Bicycle Advisory Committee? Is Lib on there? So she and her friend Libbo, they did an amazing tour of West Charlotte, and they had set it up when I-77 was still a live project, and it was going to show people who were interested in all the parks that were going to be affected by that project. And it was really impactful. I signed up for it, and I went ahead and did it, had a great time, and I encourage anybody to really explore this city by bike. Anybody else have a comment, question, or something else you want to lift up into the room? Yes.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for hosting this evening. And the question I have has to do with civic engagement. And as we know from municipal elections, we typically have about 15 to 20% of the voting population in Charlotte turning out to the polls. We look at organizations that the city ran, like there's a Charlotte Civic Leadership Academy, which has been on hold for 2 years, but used to bring people together. I know we have some alum in the room, but from across the district that has been on pause. Looking at your role in terms of appointing people to city boards and commissions that represent, and I think the comment made earlier about meeting people where they are, how are we making sure more voices are heard? How are we ensuring people know that they have a voice and use it?
So I appreciate the question. Why don't you introduce yourself to the room, because I know who you are, but nobody else might.
I work with CMS as well, and with several organizations in Charlotte. So
Fantastic.
Dave Lynn.
So, Dave Lynn. So, Dave and I met each other. It's been almost a year, right? On the paddling. Why am I drawing a blank? On the
Charlotte Asian Festival, the Dragon Boat Race.
The Dragon Boat Race.
Vote of 20 and came in second, I believe, that year. So thank you.
We were ballers.
You this year.
We did. So engagement is. Again, I started out, I go back to, where the heck are my kids? I invited them here, and, everybody's got lives and they got stuff to do, and it's hard. You have to choose. It's an intentional choice. Every one of you in this room made an intentional choice to come here tonight, to go, drive and park your car and be here and learn something. Connie, I see all the time. I think she spends almost as much time in this building as I do. Nancy Carter. I mean, there's some folks I can call out who I know lean in and engage. It is hard to maintain a level of engagement. One of the reasons I do these, one of the reasons that I do my coffees, I do a coffee every morning. Every morning. I do coffee every morning, that is true. Every Friday I do coffee with y'all. For 2 hours I post up in a coffee shop in District 6, and ostensibly I'm trying to share what it is I do, get people interested in what I do, and try to build a stable of people behind me who will run for the District 6 seat. Okay, I am a big believer in term limits. I think that we don't just put people in office and let them park there. I think with term limited positions, if I had that ability to wave a wand and do that, I think you do get more people turning out. I dare say that we will get more engagement with the upcoming mayoral cycle because we'll have a new mayor to vote for. We'll have a whole slate of new candidates to put into at-large offices in some of the districts because of the people who are going to run for mayor. It should be a really dynamic time, and I hope we're going to see a lot of young energy. Hope there's going to be a lot of people whose names we don't necessarily know, but we're intrigued and we learn a little bit more about them. So yeah, I don't have a special secret sauce other than continuing to be out there in community, continuing to listen and talk to people and tell them about these jobs. Why don't you tell us, you ran for office. Would you want to introduce yourself to the room and talk about what got you involved real quick?
Oh, sure. I am Brent Caldwell, and I recently ran for Congress in the 14th Congressional District, and it was really just a continuation of a lifetime of activism. I thought I was out of politics. I had been in politics for 10 years, but I decided in current times people had to take a stand and speak their piece, and so that's what I did.
Thank you for doing that. So yeah, I don't have a great answer. I wish I did. It's being out in community. It's caring. I don't know how to get people to put aside, whatever anxieties they've got about what running for office is, because to be candid, we don't make it easy in America to run for office. We're trying with all our might recently to not make it easy to vote. I mean, things that we've taken for granted are becoming harder and harder. Our ID process and some of the voter registration purges of rolls, and God love you, all that is being done across the South to try to disenfranchise black voters. I mean, we are at a not great place, and this isn't necessarily, as City Council member Kimberly, I'm just me, Kimberly, telling you that it really is now that we have to lean in on these things, and you have to care. You have to care about your community. And so much of what we do locally really does have more of an effect on your life than I think you really realize. So much of what we do locally, the decisions that we make, affect your quality of life on a daily basis, and getting people to understand that and to lean in and to care is what the job is all about. So if you take anything out of this room, tell somebody you learned something tonight by leaning in with a local official. But you should know who your representatives are, and they represent you. This is public service. This is not being a politician. I think that's like a different job. This is public service. So anybody else? I really appreciate all of you. We have sandwiches and goodies. Please feel free to take something. Again, I appreciate immensely the opportunity to present in front of you. I try to do these town halls 4 a year is what I'm budgeted. This is I'm sorry? September 10th is our next one? Did I know that? Is that my next one? Or that's yours? That's ours. Oh, we have one together. Okay. Okay. I fly by the seat of my pants a good amount of time, and so sometimes, and I've just got to be, I'm radically candid. This is who I am. I'm a little discombobulated. I'm ADHD. I have 2 different jobs. I do all the things, and sometimes people tell me where I'm going to be, and sometimes I arrive on time. So that's me. But anyway, again, round of applause for all of you for giving of your time tonight. Grab some food on the way out, and thank you so much.